last 6 weeks, our Contemplatio has been exploring snippets of Pope Francis's Fratelli Tutti, a really remarkable document. As a Jesuit, Pope Francis has made the spiritual exercises more than once in his lifetime. When I encountered this encyclical, it was hard not to see how deeply Pope Francis is rooted in Ignatian spirituality, a spirituality that calls for a deep and intimate relationship with Jesus. Like a prophet, Pope Francis holds up a mirror to the world and tries to help us see from the vantage point of God, of Jesus, the Jesus he has come to know through praying the Gospels. As we look at our reflection in the mirror he holds, he helps us to see the truth of our world and each other. It reminds me of those moments when I pass by my reflection in a window or a mirror unexpectedly, and I am caught off guard. I am clearly not looking my best, so I immediately want to correct whatever is out of place. Similarly, Pope Francis helps us to see what we sometimes overlook or are not paying attention to, things in our world that are out of place, out of sync. He simply is pointing them out. He sees unjust systems and people being left behind. He sees divisions and polarization and calls us out. He asks us to reflect, to work together and find solutions that will benefit all God's children. Deeply rooted in relationship with Jesus, he reminds us to examine our own relationship with Jesus, paying attention to his gentle, generous, compassionate heart and how he transforms lives day in and day out. From this vantage point, knowing Jesus, Pope Francis reminds us that we are called, as followers of Jesus, to respond to the world as Jesus modeled for us. It isn't always easy, and we won't always see eye to eye. After all, even the apostles had their differences. However, if we stay connected with Jesus, we will be able to recognize the truth of the brokenness of our world and learn to find common ground to begin to repair relationships. Remember, we believe in a Trinitarian God, a God that is relationship. 3 persons, 1 God. We have to overcome our divisions without losing identity as individuals. I know today this can seem nearly impossible, but we are reminded often that all is possible in God. The question that strikes me now when I read this is, how can I listen with love, hear another's heart, fears, without feeling defensive? Pope Francis points out that to find common ground, to find unity is often best achieved when people work together to address the problems they share. As I pondered his thoughts, a nonprofit organization my daughter-in-law works for came to mind, Interfaith Youth Corps. This organization was founded on such a belief that dialogue and working together changes hearts and brings people together. In an effort to bring forth interfaith dialogue after 9/11, Ibu Patel, founder of Interfaith Youth Corps, created this organization to work on college campuses. He found that bringing together young people of different religious backgrounds to work together on some project for the common good would be the avenue for constructive dialogue and true understanding. Despite some really vast differences in their worldviews, IFYC participants found a way to overcome divisions. They identified 3 core components of interfaith cooperation that apply every day here: respect for religious identity, mutually inspiring relationships, and common action for the common good. This is something we often see in the dynamic of the family. Pope Francis used this analogy. In a family, if someone has a problem, even a serious one, even if he brought it upon himself, the rest of the family comes to his assistance. They support him. His problems are theirs. In families, everyone contributes to the common purpose. Everyone works for the common good, not denying each person's individuality, but encouraging and supporting it. The example of the family hit home to me. I could relate. In my own family of origin, I grew up understanding that we were all to do our part for the betterment of the whole. When I was a child, our parents wouldn't even hear of paying us an allowance for doing chores, as most of my friends did. We were told instead that what we did for the good of the family. We each had a part. As I grew older, all 5 of us went our different ways. And while we had some shared values and worldviews, as individuals, we weren't and aren't always on the same page. But when something happened to one of us, someone got seriously sick, a crisis with a child, we are there in force. Differences put aside. At such times, we are able to see more clearly. We see the heart, to the love we share, to the truth, the heart. That is, we are one body, and when one suffers, we all suffer. This is the truth Francis is pointing to. This is the truth Jesus showed us. We are made to love, and loving one another means we must care for each other. To see clearly, to recognize the truth, to face the truth. When we see clearly, we will indeed be able to move to love. And to love is to care for one another. If we are to transform the world, we must start with our own hearts. Can we be the peacemakers? Can we be the men and women prepared to work boldly and creatively to initiate processes of healing and renewed encounter? We've got to find a way. We've got to work together. There is common ground, for we are all made from love to love.